As you can probably tell through the title and the thumbnail of this video, LEGO has botched their own Shire release for the LEGO Lord of the Rings The Shire, coming in at $270, dropping on April 2nd for VIP members or insider members, and April 5th for everybody else, but might not be an insider member when it's completely free. So why is it that LEGO is ruining their own drop? Well, let's look at it. Is everybody talking about how pretty the set is? Are they talking about how incredible the figures are? Or are they talking about all the new elements that we get with this set, all the cool printed pieces we get? What about that cloth element? I mean, there's a couple cloth elements. Are we talking about that? No. Unfortunately, we're talking about the price tag, $269.99. And that price might be understandable until you look at the piece count. And even then, you might justify it a little further. But then you take a look at the inside. Now, the inside, by no means is it awful. Is it the worst thing you've ever seen? No. But does this inside to you, this size of an inside, give you any sort of indication that $270 is worth it? I personally don't think so. So let's break it down just a little bit more. $270 spread over 2,017 pieces, which brings the average to just over 13 cents per piece, which is the highest price per piece we have ever seen on a LEGO Icons set. Because they're not releasing under a Lord of the Rings theme. No, not like 2012, 2013. We are releasing under the Icons lineup, which is kind of the most thrown together dumpster fire of a collection. They just throw anything that they don't know what to put into the Icons line. And that's that. Okay, well, I mean, we've seen crazy price to part ratios before. What makes this one so egregious? Well, for starters, the rumored price of this set was $200. Now, is LEGO at fault for the rumor getting out that that's what we're going to have to pay, $200 for 2,000 pieces? No, not necessarily. It's not their fault. But what this might tell you is that the original price could have been $200. Now, obviously, I'm not the one sitting in at meetings at LEGO determining whether or not this is going to start at 200, 220, 250, 270, whatever. Like, I'm not there. So the rumor could have come from anywhere. The rumor could have just taken a look at the 2017 and said, all right, well, we've got that many pieces, so clearly it's going to be about $200. But the expectation from Lord of the Rings and from LEGO set up by them before is a much better swing. To put this into perspective, let's take a look at Barad-dûr. Barad-dûr 460 releasing last year, $460, 5,471 pieces, and that comes out to about 8.4 cents per piece, somewhere in there. You do get a light brick, you do get one extra minifigure, but if we're looking at price to part ratio and price to stuff, this is a massive set. This is not a small set. Not only is the piece count high, but it's also incredibly tall. Okay, well, what else can we look at to judge this based off of? Well, we've also got Rivendell, which was the first one to release. Now, Rivendell comes out even cheaper than that. Not total price, but price per piece ratio, 6,167 pieces for $500. Comes out to just over 8.1 cents per piece. Okay, so we have almost double this ratio for the Shire. Now, as a Lord of the Rings diehard fan, I had decided to get this set before I even saw the pictures. I'm sure that Star Wars fans do the same exact thing, especially with some of the bigger stuff, or if it's like, oh, well, I only collect the Clone Wars stuff, I only collect the sequel or the prequel or whatever, or the original movies, I only collect that. Well, the ones that I'm diehard going to sell my kidney for, it's going to be Lord of the Rings sets, or possibly Pirates of the Caribbean later this year. But does that mean that I'm not upset about it? No. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's figure out why it costs this much money. Well, it's beautiful, for starters. It does look good. We've got lots of these big green pieces. Then again, that's not everything. We've also got cloth pieces, which, as we know, based on past information, that cloth pieces, specialized pieces like that, have an increased number or have an increased price to it. Okay. We've got a lineup of 9 minifigures. We've got 1, 2, 3. I think this is the same except the head print. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 figures with unique printing. Unless this Bilbo one is the same as the one in Rivendell, but I'm almost positive it's not the same. Probably not the right photo. Anyways, we've got exclusive printing on the torsos. Now, do you think that that would be worth spending that much more money on the set? No, I don't think so. Okay, so maybe it's a high-end display piece. Well, we've got some play features, and we've got open back. We've got studs on the bottom for play. We've got minifigure posability. So it kind of falls somewhere between a display piece and a play set, which is fine with me. As you know, I stick it on a shelf and admire it. But I also understand that there's plenty of people that are going to want to purchase this, build it, and play with it for years to come. I can't imagine or foresee a child wanting this set to play with, whether because the content of Lord of the Rings is too mature for them, which is not likely the case, but more so, it's almost $300. I don't know how many parents out there are spending $300 on a birthday Christmas gift, and unless they're mowing 8 lawns a week, I don't really know where they're getting that kind of money. Okay, so we've established that $200 was the rumor. We can't fully blame them for that. So personally, as I've already said, I'm purchasing it no matter what. I don't know what my limit would be on something like this, but I do have $100 in insiders points saved up. And to the contrary of some other YouTubers recently, just because you have the points doesn't equate it to full dollar amounts. So what I mean by that is there's a very big Lego YouTuber who recently said that just because you spend your insider points on something doesn't make it discounted. Well, Lego didn't have to have the insider program. They didn't have to have this rewards loyalty system to where you've spent money and now you get a credit back. They didn't have to do that. So I was going to buy Lego no matter what, and it's nice to get some kickback. I think the ratio is like for every $100 you spend in the store, you get about $5 back, somewhere in that range, somewhere there. I know they've changed it a little bit over the years. But I'm going to use points to offset the cost. And for some people, that's fine, right? They're going to use points. If you want to purchase this right away and get the gift with purchase, which, by the way, is down here, Smeagol and Deagle, kind of an odd choice for a gift with purchase, but I actually kind of like it a lot. It's just it's a murder scene, right? One of these figures we will never see again in that form, and the other we might. I know there's a Smeagol movie coming out sometime in the next couple years. But if you don't want to buy it right away, I would suggest on your end waiting on double VIP points, wait on some sort of discount. I don't monitor the Lego site too frequently, but I don't think they've ever run any sort of exclusive discount on Barad-dûr or Rivendell. I know that there's other third-party retailers that have done that. So it's been hurt by the rumor of $200. Okay, that's fine. Well, another reason it could cost so much is an uneasy market currently with tariffs. This could be a sign of Lego over-preparing or just preparing for a rough shelf life due to the offset of net profit, because tariffs come in and every single element on this could cost more. The labor could cost more, the shipping costs more, the entire process of getting this from design to consumers' hands will cost more if all these tariffs go through. All right, so that's one thing. It could be them preparing for that. What about the cloth pieces here? Well, Eldorado Fortress had 3 cloth pieces, and it had a much better price to part ratio than this one. Okay, so cross that off. That doesn't work super well. And furthermore, the IP brand licensing that comes with Lord of the Rings, we can cross that off as well, because we have Lord of the Rings here, Lord of the Rings here, and the prices are incredible. Incredible. I mean, you're getting a lot. You're also paying hefty prices, but neither one of these sets do you feel like you're being robbed in any way, shape, or form, especially if you are not a new member to the Lego collecting community? If you're not new, you understand that this price for this number of pieces is somewhere between fair and decent. This one, however, reminds me of Marvel or some of the more egregious Star Wars sets. $270 for 2017. Now, word of thumb, or we're not word of thumb, but the rule of thumb is this divided by X number, whatever, to get somewhere around 10 cents per piece. So if we're being, let's say, very economical here, you could expect to pay somewhere between $200 and $220 for this set. That would make sense to me. I think that if this had released as $220, you wouldn't really hear complaints. However, if you go to the YouTubes, and let's do this together. I'm going to type in Lego Shire. All right, so we have this face here, this face here. We have leaks. This needs to stop. Jang's video is pretty good. We have disappointing. We have, is it worth it? 270 is ridiculous. This needs to stop. Again, the same video. Dollar signs. And my thumbnail's looking just about the same. Rather than celebrate the return of the Shire to the Lego world, we are critiquing a price, which means they've taken all of the hype away from the set itself, away from the release of the Shire, and they're putting the focus on what I can only equate to greed. And I hate that. I hate that. I have no doubt that this set is going to sell like hotcakes because it's Lord of the Rings, because it's the Shire, and maybe Lego going in knew that potentially they were taking a risk with Barad-dûr, right? How many people out there requested a large black tower with a red eye on top of it? Probably not nearly as many people as requested Rivendell, because Rivendell is more of an iconic location that shows up in both The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and not to mention, it's pretty on a shelf. This could not be described as pretty. It's a beautiful piece of construction and art from a brick standpoint, but it's not pretty. This, however, is still gorgeous and pretty, and the plant pieces look good, and the boomerangs all look good as the fence, sunflower. I mean, look at all the different types of foliage we get. The tree, yikes. I mean, that tree looks bad, and luckily that's kind of the consensus across the board. When I first saw it, I was like, yikes. And I'm happy to see that other people think the same thing. So that's one thing. It's going to sell well. And it's all going to be based on your personal decision, whether or not you get it at launch, wait for a sale, wait for double points, or just flat out refuse, right? They always tell you, vote with your money. Unfortunately, I want to vote with my money, but I also can't resist a Lord of the Rings set, which is fine for me, right? I've made my peace. So if I'm using my insider points, it's $100 off, 170. Using boy math, I can get around that. So that's one thing. But the other is that on the other side of this coin is you cannot deny that this looks good. The old one, the old Shire, the old Hobbiton Bag End set, it's more focused on just Bag End. I don't really mind that they're calling this the Shire because they're giving us more than just Bag End. They're giving us this little grass over here. We've got Mary Pippin the fireworks, the tent where all the drinks are. We've got this right here, which has a neat play feature to make Bilbo disappear. I don't mind that at all. The cart, I think, looks pretty good, pretty decent. It's such a small thing that I don't know that they really could have improved on much from the original. However, the original does sell for like $150, something like that, something in that ballpark. There's already instructions on Rebrickable, I believe, for redesigning this part, as well as redesigning this tree here, which, I mean, this part over here doesn't bother me at all, but luckily trees are quite simple to build in Lego, and so I don't think that many people, if they have the pieces, are going to keep this as is. All right, so what else? What else could they have done to make this more valuable, more worth it? Well, I have an idea, and that idea has everything to do with this firework dragon up here, which I'm very grateful we get, but it's also the only firework we have. So if you are not a Lord of the Rings fan and you look at this box, you've never seen the movies, which, what are you doing? Go watch the movies. You've never seen it. You see this dragon in the air, you're not going to necessarily think it's a firework. So what I think Lego should have done is have fireworks very similar to the Disney castle here. The 50th anniversary Cinderella Castle, Walt Disney World. Look how simple these firework builds are. There's just two of them. But when you look back, does it really sell it that there's a fireworks show going on? I think so. So take these pieces here, throw it onto, not Barad-dûr, that would be kind of funny. Throw it onto the back of the Shire, even this tree over here. I say the Shire, I mean Bag End. Throw it on the back of this tree. Okay, so then you have one here with the firework dragon. I think that's a much better overall look than just the dragon. Okay, so that's one small thing they could do. Another thing they could do, I don't know if they needed to expand it here or there's too much wasted space under the green here, or I really don't know what it is, but maybe the roof doesn't go back far enough and that's what it is, but that's to let in some light so that you can see what you're playing with. There's a significant lacking area here in the back. I mean, what's here is fine. The candlesticks using the pen piece, I think is hilarious. It's nice. This play feature here to have the ring go away and you have a printed letter. Lots of, actually it's not printed, it's a sticker. That's a sticker there as well. They could have included more printed pieces, maybe. I'm a big fan of prints, don't love stickers, especially when you're paying premium prices. And for this set to cost almost $300, I mean, after taxes, it's really going to be kissing and whispering in the ear of $300, which is not great. And to have that premium price, you expect a premium product. Now, if you just take a look at what's here, not looking at what's behind, could you say this is a premium looking product? I personally think yes. I think it looks very nice. This tree aside, the product here looks quite nice. However, turn it around, looks a little bit less nice. Seeing this piece count looks even less nice. $270, even less nice. Something that they also could have done that they did with Rivendell is they included a couple elves that don't have a name. Put a couple hobbits in here that don't have a name. Now, luckily, if you go in at launch, you're like, I really want the gift of purchase to go with it. Bam, you got two more hobbits. Doesn't matter that one of them is brutally murdered in his first screen appearance. It's two hobbits, two torsos, two faces, hair, legs, right? They look like hobbits. Throw them in there. Awesome. If you're lucky enough to still have the old hobbit figures or the old dwarf figures, even better, from the old hobbit sets, I'm going to put them all out here. Make it look more lively, more flourishing, more Shire-like. I think there's just little things here and there that they could have done to ease this price if we're going to stick with that price. But I don't think they should have. I think that realistically, to make people happy, this probably shouldn't have gone above $230. Any more than that, and you start to see the thumbnails. You start to see the negative criticisms, the negative feedback, rather than celebrating the return of the Shire, Bag End, Gandalf's cart, the return of all of these great things. We're not talking about that. This was probably the second or third most hyped set of this year. We knew it was coming a while back. We just didn't know what it would come in the form as until the rumors started showing up. And we knew the rumored price of $200, and I believe we knew the price or the piece count. We didn't know the figure number at that point. And I think because of the price, this is so distracting to the release of this set, which is why Lego has botched it completely. They're the ones that set the price. You know, they could blame anybody else as much as they want. And they say in the press releases and whatever else they put out that they like to balance out which IP and which licensing fee charges the most. So they spread that out, or so they say. But you can't tell me that a Creator 3-in-1 set has anywhere near the price to part ratio as a Star Wars set, a Marvel set, a Lord of the Rings set. So I don't think it's a balance issue. I just don't think that's happening at all. All of that, I'm still buying it. I'm still just a sellout when it comes to Lord of the Rings. I don't know if I need to prove it to myself or anyone else that I love Lord of the Rings and I'm willing to pay adult big bucks and fork over lots of money to show my love and appreciation for a book series, a movie series that I enjoy and love and will continue to love. But I'm not going to be all that happy about the initial price. And I have no doubt that when the reviews of other people and other YouTubers start dropping, legitimate reviews. I'm not talking about the Lego Insider people that get all this set sent to them. And no, I don't want to have anything against them because they're doing a good job, obviously, at something. They're doing something more than me. But when you start to see people that are normal, they have a job that they go to in order to make their living, and they publish their reviews, they are guaranteed to not be happy about that. And if they're fine with that price at this number of figures and with the back of the set looking like it does, then I want to know what kind of job they have and whether or not they are hiring, because that's crazy to me. Thank you so much for watching. I apologize for the long-windedness of this. I didn't want to get lost in the shuffle, but I wanted to get this out before it released. And so I appreciate you watching to the end. If you watched all the way to the end, comment the word potato so I know you're here. Potatoes, boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew. I'm buying this release day, getting the gift with purchase. I'm going to love it and cherish it. But I'm going to cry a little bit on the drive home. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next set. Bye-bye.